Welcome to Tourism Talk. I'm Laura Schaumburg, Marketing Director at the Paducah Convention and Visitors Bureau. Today, we are celebrating the American Quilters Society's 30th anniversary and Quilt Week Paducah, Kentucky's 30th anniversary. So today, with me are Mary Hammond, the Executive Director at the Convention and Visitors Bureau, and Bonnie Browning, AQS Executive Show Director. Welcome.
Yes, can you believe it's been 30 years?
That is amazing, isn't it?
Yes, and we're going to have a big party this year.
We can't wait. Can we,
It's
Mary?
always a big party, Bonnie.
I know it is. You know, when you bring 30,000 people to town, it is a big party.
In 30 years, that is amazing. Let's just take a look back to the beginning. 30 years ago, 1984, it all started.
Well, that was when the American Quilters Society was formed, and that began the planning for the very first show, which was 1985. You know, when the convention center was brand new, the Executive Inn was brand new, and Bill and Meredith Schrader said, you know, I wonder if we can do a big event like some of the other cities we're doing with quilt shows and bring thousands of people into our community. Oh my gosh, if they only knew then what they know now.
That's right.
Because they had 7,500 people attended that very first year, and Bill and Meredith put up $25,000 of their own money for prize money. And you know, the reason they really started the organization was they wanted quilters to be recognized for their artistry using fabric as their medium. And that was really the impetus that started everything was, and so the prize money was really important. And even in that very first year, they gave away $10,000 to the Best of Show winner.
Wow. Yeah.
So now it's up to over $1 million total prize money that's been given.
Actually, it's $3.5 million.
Oh my goodness!
Since the beginning.
Since the beginning,
When, by the time we make it through our 30th year, we'll have given away over $3.5 million in prize money to quilters.
Wow. And like you said, the artistry of the quilting, it truly is such a celebration of that. And 30 years of great quilts and memories and that sort of thing. Looking back, what stands out to you all? What do you
Well,
all
I think one
of?
of the main things is in those early years, many of the quilts were hand appliqued, hand pieced, hand quilted. And in fact, the mindset at that time was it isn't really a quilt unless it's done by hand. But over the years, I think 1989 was the deal breaker on that when Carol Fowler won Best of Show with her machine quilted quilt. It created such havoc in the whole industry because how could they award that prize to a machine quilted quilt? But it was the best quilt in the show that year. I was here as an attendee, and it certainly was and still is a very beautiful quilt.
Yes, that it's hanging in the National Quilt Museum now, so it certainly still gets a lot of attention. Mary, what about you? Do you have any great memories from the show over the years?
I'm thinking of one of the standout years would be the year we had a male win Best of Show. I can't remember his name, with the airplane quilt.
Yes.
And that was a big deal for me in meeting him because he's a very tall, big man with big hands, and and that's a hand-stitched quilt.
That was Jonathan Shannon.
Yes, Jonathan Shannon, and he's like 6'4".
Yes.
You know, he has big hands, and here he's done this intricate work. That was big meeting him, but I think over the years it would have to be being in a situation where you meet the quilters and have that personal relationship and hear their own story. And I've loved that no matter where they've been. It's happened from people from the Far East. It's happened to quilters in distress. It's happened to sitting down to lunch with someone or a special event. And I've loved that part.
Right. And many of those friends that we make, we see year after year.
Yes.
Yes, they're lifelong friends.
Yes.
You know, I always say when you speak quilting, it's an international language because everybody understands when you have a piece of fabric and a needle.
Mm-hmm. It
Yes.
speaks. It does. It does. That's so beautiful. Paducah really, you know, we hear it time and again. I know all of us do that Paducah is kind of a Mecca experience. It's on the bucket list, and many of the quilters do come back year after year. What is it about Paducah? What is it about how has AQS continued to evolve and create things with the show that bring people back year after year?
Well, I'll let Mary speak to Paducah because she's going to talk about the Southern hospitality part. But from the quilting standpoint, you know, we work really, really hard to make sure we do different things every year. If we just did the same thing year after year after year, or we had the same instructors year after year, people wouldn't come back. And it would be a whole lot easier for us to do it if we just did it the same, but we can't do it that way. We want to make sure that they have a good experience and that it is a new experience when they come.
Yes, yes, I think you all do a great job of new things, many new events this year with this anniversary.
I've always heard from other people in other communities through the quilt show in the many cities who've bid on having their own quilt show, to the National Trust Dozen Distinctive Destinations, to the UNESCO Creative Cities designation. People asking us, why Paducah? You know, we're bigger, better, stronger, brighter, but I think it's the way that everything pulls together. What AQS puts into the show is definitely the catalyst, but then the rest of the community has been involved, and I think it's that whole package of our community that has drawn people year after year. The outstanding, the best of the best, the cream of the crop can be found here. That's why we attract the journalists, the people who want to take the classes. 5,000 people that week take classes. Oh my goodness.
Amazing.
That's why the international folks come back. I would have to say, in my book, Paducah is the most cosmopolitan of the shows.
That's absolutely correct. We do have international entries and international attendees at our other events, but not as many as we get here at Paducah. But you know, one of the things about Paducah, and it really involves the whole community, you know that old saying, it takes more than a village?
Yes.
Yeah, it takes a lot of hands. For instance, AQS has, I just finished our staffing list, and it's a list of 77 people that it takes for us to be able to put the show on. And of course, you know, we're in 5 locations. We use all of the Expo Center, which has the Best of Show quilt and the large quilts and vendors. Then we have the first floor of the Convention Center, which has special exhibits and more vendors. The second floor of the Convention Center has the wall quilts, the miniature quilts, and more vendors. The pavilion has some special exhibit quilts and more vendors. And then we own the Finkel building downtown. And so in there you'll find vendors and the AQS Hurt book sale. So, you know, there's plenty of things for them to do. And to be honest, you know, in the early years when all we had was the 2 levels of the Convention Center, can you imagine putting this show on in just 2 levels of one building today? We have to spread these people all over town. The Rotary is a sponsor, and they have the Antique Quilt Show and the Hoffman Challenge. Eleanor Burns does some events at her properties here in town, and also with us on one evening. And so that gets some people spread out over the city. Our churches and different businesses that do different food events, that too spreads them out. We can't feed them all right there in the food tent at the Convention Center. And so I think it's that whole compass of the whole community being involved that really is helpful.
The windows downtown is always a favorite, everybody decorating, and now they're trying to pull the dogwoods in as well. And I think this is going to be a year where the dogwoods are really going to shine if they can make it through a little bit of a cold spell. But I have faith they're going to be beautiful this year for the quilters. And it's the 50th year of the Dogwood Trail.
Yes, it certainly is. And you know, I was out over the weekend trying to take some pictures, and they aren't quite ready yet, but they will be by quilt show time.
They will be.
They're coming out for the celebration of AQS too.
That's right.
You know, you all both mentioned the international appeal of the show, and the American Quilters Society certainly has an international reach. Tell us a little bit about what AQS does. The show and Quilt Week events are just one piece of what you all are doing here in Paducah.
Well, yes, because, you know, we also currently are working with the Tent Makers of Cairo, Egypt. I just came back from a buying trip over there and got to visit their shops right there in the Tent Maker Street. And, you know, it's that cultural aspect of seeing how people do things, the same things we do, but they do them differently. Anyone who has watched the tent makers, and both Tarek and Hossam will be here in Paducah for the show. If you've watched them stitch, we just can't even imagine making our hands work as fast as they do, but that's their livelihood. And so our experience of working with them has made it so, in some ways, we probably have helped save their industry over there. When the tourists quit coming because of the revolution they had, now really the only way to sell their work is to send it other places. And so we're buying, we bought 200 pieces on the latest trip. And if anybody wants to buy a piece of those, they're available on our website as well. But you really need to see those gentlemen in person. And then not just them, but you know, you go to England and the style of their quilts are totally different than the style of many of our American-made quilts. We just had Claudia Feil from Germany, who makes her quilts out of silk and treats it just like cotton. You know, we always were taught to line it with an inner liner because it's going to, you know, something's going to happen different to the silk. She throws it in the wash machine and washes it and uses it just like it was cotton. And so learning from one another, I think, just makes the whole quilting world even better.
That is a wonderful testament.
It really is. Our friends from Egypt, will they be where they have in past years on the first floor of the convention center?
They will be. The first 2 rows will be the Sakwa Masters 2 exhibit, and they'll be in the 3rd and 4th rows down there, right inside the door.
Now, Sakwa?
The Studio Art Quilting Association.
Those are always wonderful quilts.
Yes,
I
and
love
you know,
to
they really are meant as art. You know, many times we make a small quilt and we call it an art quilt, but these are really designed as art.
That's good. Coming in, if someone was watching this and they want to come to the show, and let's go over just the dates and times real quick.
Okay, the dates are April 23rd through the 26th. The show is open Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, 9 until 6, Saturday, 9 until 5. And of course, the whole thing kicks off on Tuesday evening at 5 o'clock at the Carson Center. And you won't want to miss that. It's going to be a special reception in the lobby of the Carson Center. And then about 5:30, we will move into the theater, and we have some special guests that will be with us. And then we'll get to learn who is this year's Best of Show winner.
That is always so exciting.
It is.
And the quilts come down from the ceiling, and it's such a wonderful, exciting reveal.
You know what, it's nice to be, you know, because of that beautiful theater we have, we're able to fly those quilts right in to where we want them.
There's nothing like the squeal in the audience as the name is read and they come running down the aisle to get their prize.
Yes.
I love it. And there are many different types of prizes. I mean, everything from, is there a student prize this year?
No,
Not this year. We have had that
that.
but the big show prizes. But then there's lots more prizes too.
Every category
Yes.
has first, second, and third.
Yes.
So, you know, first place wins $1,500, second $1,000, and third $750. And of course, the big prizes are for Best of Show, the Janome Best of Show, Bernina Machine Workmanship, AQS Hand Workmanship, and APQS long arm workmanship. And of course, those are the ones that are right out center front in the Expo Center.
The must-sees.
Yes.
And I know that you've seen the quilts already. Can you give us just a little, I know you can't reveal what they are exactly, but tell us a little bit about what sorts of quilts we might see this year.
Do you know, I always go through the quilts looking for different things because the media always wants to know what's new and different. I'd say this year we have a lot of quilts that have people on them. And so that's something that's a little different. And for a while, the quilters didn't do very well at doing faces, but they're getting really good now. We have quilts with animals on them. We're seeing a lot of quilts that have painting on them. And in some cases, the whole quilt is painted and then quilted, or sometimes it's quilted and then painted. And so I think you're just going to see a whole variety, and you're still going to see some of those designs, the New York Beauty and the log cabin and some of those designs like Grandma used to make.
I love those.
So if you love the traditional designs, you're still going to get to see them, but you're going to see lots of new things too.
It's always so exciting with this show, with such an array of quilts, that you do see that traditional, but you do see those trends coming out. I know a few years ago we saw a lot of sparkle.
Yes.
And then you see that with the vendors as well. I know the vendor mall is something that attendees always look forward to.
First reason they come is the quilts. Number 2 is the merchant mall. And you know, we always try to make sure that our vendors have the very latest products. Many people don't have a quilt shop in their city, so they depend on coming to our show here and being able to buy the supplies that they need, whether it's that new ruler that they saw in some quilting program on TV or something they saw in a workshop that they took that somebody had a piece. Hopefully they'll be able to find it in our merchant mall here.
Yes, I know we often find some things for ourselves, and great irons, and
oh yes,
I mean there's quite some great jewelry, some really neat vendors out there.
Yes. Well, and of course, you know, I'm holding the show book, and this year the show book is 146 pages.
Wow.
Many times we're 124, so it's a bigger book. But this is the Bible. It is free with your show admission, or if you want some extra copies, it's $4 for one copy. But this is the place where you'll find the maps for the vendors, the list for here's one of the vendor maps, the list of the vendors, the list of the contestants in a short description of their quilts, and the calendar of events, so that if they're taking a class and they can't remember what room it's in, all of that information is in here.
That is
And the
great.
shuttle map.
Yes.
Oh, yes, I forgot that.
And we are so thankful to the businesses that participate in that and support the quilt show with participating and getting our people around town. These are all stops where people have invested in the shuttle system. So it's and we have a lot of parking out at Carson Park because it gets crowded downtown when your city doubles in size.
Yes.
But that's a really good pickup out at Carson Park, and it's worked very well over the years.
Yes, and if you're a quilter coming to the show, sometimes the bus might be full and it might go on by you because they can only put so many people on there, but there will be another bus along soon. But also, we just need to note that they can only stop at the places listed on here, and that's these people have paid for the privilege of having this bus service. So the last 4 pages of the book are the shuttle maps.
So much good information in there. And you mentioned the instructors and the classes that people take. I know I saw a great tagline this year saying 42 of the, master teachers at one event.
That's true, and they come from all over. We hire international teachers. This year we have one instructor from Japan, and Philippa Naylor, who was a Best of Show winner, will be here teaching again this year. And then we have the best of the best in all different modes of quilt making.
Wow, that's wonderful. We've talked about the quilts, the vendors, the classes, special events. There are always some things to do at night, during the day, to kind of just take it to another level, this celebration of quilting and the anniversary. What's coming up this year?
Well, of course, Tuesday night is our kickoff at the Carson Center. Wednesday night, we have Eleanor Burns is doing a special program for us at the Carson Center, and she's celebrating her 35th anniversary. And that woman has published like 140 books for quilters.
Wow.
So she's had a huge impact on our industry. On Friday, we're doing something different at Dolly McNutt Park. We're having a picnic in the park with Sue Nichols and Pat Holly, and they're both big winners at our show.
Yes.
You'll remember the Beatles quilt and the Space quilt. They were both made by Sue and Pat, and they'll be doing a trunk show, and we'll have a picnic set up around the fountain there at Dolly McNutt Park. And so that's kind of getting our people out into the city a little bit, and we've never used that before, so it's exciting. We have on Wednesday also, we're doing a night with Jane Austen, We have 2 AQS authors who have published books. One's a novel that relates to Jane Austen, and the other one is a how-to book. And they're going to show the movie Austenland after we have a little reception with those 2 authors.
That sounds like an awful lot of fun.
I know,
does.
I know. It should be fun. And of course, Jane Austen is really popular right now, too. So I know that the quilters will enjoy that. Thursday is the quilt auction. We can't forget that. Wednesday and Friday, they have a silent auction that's in the Convention Center first level. But on Thursday evening at 5 o'clock, you can view the items that will be auctioned off live. And at 6 o'clock, the auction will begin under the food tent right out there in the parking lot.
Yes.
I believe they can be previewed on the Quilt Museum site.
It's not only that, but they have something new this year. You can actually go in and make bids right now. So you just need to be able to go to quiltmuseum.org. Quiltmuseum.org. And go to their website and take a look at the auctions. They have sewing machines. They have beautiful quilts. And I'm really proud to say that one of the quilts that will be auctioned this year is a quilt that was made by our AQS staff for last year's Pilgrim Roy. Last year's challenge quilts in that challenge will be auctioned this year. And so Meredith Schrader worked on it. I worked on it. Andy Reynolds. Kathy Davis, a number of our staff members, and it was quilted by Lisa Sipes, and it's beautiful.
Wonderful.
And so I wouldn't mind having that myself.
Well, I've already placed a bid and already been outbid.
So
it
it's
is
in
fun.
progress
It's
already.
in progress, that's right. Well, there are so many other activities and the people are all over the town and the region, and there are so many other activities for them to do at night. When your town doubles in size, that's more people than we can sell tickets to. And your events will fill. Are they coming along?
And you know, everybody was really sad last year when Ricky Timms wasn't here.
Yes.
Ricky Timms will be here on Friday night
good.
again this year.
At the Carson Center?
At the Carson
Oh,
Center.
what fun. We love him. We love him. Well, that's there'll be people all over. We've got some sanctioned events, Geyser Art Center, with fantastic fibers.
And the Rotary.
And the Rotary.
And Eleanor Burns.
Eleanor Burns. And she is not under a tent this year.
That's right. She will not be at Carson Park.
Yes.
So for the people that are used to going out there, she has a new building at 509 Jefferson, and her warehouse on Kentucky Avenue, and then her shop downtown on 4th Street are the 3 locations that she'll be in this year.
That's right.
From being on television for so long and having so many books, she really has deep, dedicated fans. Public television has been so good in having her program all these years, and she really has quite a following.
Do you know, it's amazing. People that will attend her event will bring along quilts they made using one of her books or her patterns. Right. They always come and want her to autograph the back of the quilt for them.
How neat.
Yes.
To wrap up, I guess, one other thing that we're so excited to be celebrating this year that AQS is a huge part of is the new UNESCO designation for the city of Paducah. And this is in the area of fiber arts and quilting. Was the impetus for our recognition. And I think just talking about how people are coming here to connect with other cultures and with their teachers and just each other through creativity is such a testament to that. Mary, do you have any thoughts on how we'll really see that in action this year?
I think some of the media that will be attending, there's always a very nice showing of media, but we have the Japanese magazine coming. Last time that they were here, I think we had, 15 pages in their magazine of Paducah. They're looking for the stories. People, they're looking for the stories about American quilts to share with the people in Japan. There's always some public television people here, reporters from all over. We're always looking for the good story. I think this is going to be a really good year. UNESCO is opening doors for us. We've worked with cities, Seattle, on their application. We were just talking about, before the show started, Seattle now making fabric again.
Yes. In the only place in the United States.
The only place. So I look forward to communicating with Seattle and seeing what can we do here. We love that our friends from Cairo, not Cairo, the Cairo are coming once again. And I know that Fowler Black has worked with many different groups from all over, not just the United States, but international. So they're here, they're coming, they know about us. This was just a natural progression for us to be part of the UNESCO Creative Cities.
Do you know, I'm sure that Bill and Meredith never dreamt when they started this event 30 years ago that it would build to the international event that it is today, and that it would connect those people in a way that it does, like almost no other show. You know, here in Paducah, you can walk down the street and not have to fear for your life, and you can take a ride with somebody locally that will take you to your next destination. The shuttles that haul people all over town. Literally everything about this show brings people together.
That's wonderful. It really is that personal. We were talking in the office the other day about the personal experience that Paducah kind of provides, the creative connections, like you said. That's wonderful. We can't wait to see the tent makers again. They're so talented, and it's great to have them here. Just another UNESCO tie-in. Just up the Nile, Aswan, Egypt is another creative city, so that's very close to where the tent makers are from, and we'll be excited to connect with them about that this year. Is there anything else that you want to leave our viewers with?
Well,
Today?
you know, there certainly are food venues. If they get your brochure, you're going to talk about that, I hope. But there are dining options in there, and some of them they suggest you make some reservations. We have the Grand Rivers has its quilt show going on. And so if you want to see quilts, Paducah is the place to come, April 23rd through the 26th.
That is right. Thank you, Bonnie. And you mentioned the Paducah Convention and Visitors Bureau's calendar of events. Be sure to look for this at the show here. It'll be all over town in Paducah. Also available on our website at paducah.travel. It has maps and all the details about all the events that are going on. So,
especially the Moscow Ballet.
Yes, the Moscow Ballet.
Out here at the college.
Dogwood Trail, the quilts at the Quilt Museum, and all over town. So be sure to get out and join us this April 23rd through the 26th and celebrate quilting. Celebrate the 30th anniversary of the American Quilters Society and Quilt City, USA.
Most definitely.
Thank you all for joining us.
1, 2, 1, 2, go. Hello, ba-ba-da-ba-ba. Ba-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da. Hello, ba-ba-da-ba-ba. Ba-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da. Ba-da-ba-da-ba-ba. Ba-ba-da-ba-ba. Ba-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da. Ba-da-ba-da-ba-ba. Ba-ba-da-ba-ba. Ba-da-ba-da-ba-ba. Ba-ba-da-ba. Ba-da-ba-da-ba-ba.